you can see the soup is very rich in flavor. And on top of that, I also add some spring onion. That's very typical for Chinese noodle soup. So that would be, my God. Hi guys, welcome. Today, I'm going to show you guys how to cook a Chinese noodle soup. We're not going to follow a recipe. Instead, I'll show you guys the very basic principle of how to cook a Chinese noodle soup. So after that, you should be able to cook your noodle soup anywhere, anytime, in whatever way you like to have your noodle soup at that particular time. So then you will have that freedom to create, to enjoy your own noodle soup. So now, what's the major component of Chinese noodle soup? Of course, noodle, that's the base. And then on top of that, choice of vegetables, or even more. So you can just pick any kind of vegetables you like or you have, because you are not going to go shopping with a recipe, just whatever you have. Typically, you want some kind of leafy vegetables. So, and also a little bit color combination, that would be nice. And then on top of that, you may want some meat. Egg is entirely optional. You can use any kind of meat, pork, beef, lamb. I happen to have lamb. So those are the three major components of your Chinese noodle soup. But you understand the noodle, the vegetable leaves do not have any taste in it. So therefore, you need the most important component, soup, in your noodle soup. So therefore, when you are eating your noodle, you can enjoy the original flavor of the noodle, the Chinese cabbage, or the green leaf, or even your meat. And yet, you can taste that rich flavor from your soup. The soup is like the kind of glue all these components into one flavor. So you can enjoy that rich, delicious flavor of the soup and all the components. So that's the essence of a Chinese noodle. So once you have this principle, then you can just cook any kind of noodles. This here I have is Korean noodle, or maybe Chinese noodle here I have, or even your spaghetti and all sort of different vegetables, whatever you have. Typically, I don't use any like carrots or onion for my vegetables. I want some kind of leafy vegetables. Because you think about that, you got your noodle, very soft, and then you have your leafy vegetables, it goes with it. If you put some kind of chunky carrots into it, it just doesn't taste right. Now, let's talk about the most important component, the soup itself. How do you prepare the soup to make your soup so rich in flavor, so delicious? First, of course, you need add water to your cooking pan. That's a given. And then on top of that, you say, okay, I need some salt. Okay, that's given. And maybe you fancy even some pepper. But now you can imagine that your soup is not going to be very tasty, just salty water with pepper in it. So to make your soup much richer in flavor, ideally, if you could afford, you would love to put some kind of pork bones, beef bones, lamb bones, and boil in your cooking pan for like an hour or two, and then you use that broth for your soup. So, but we don't have that as a cheap and quick, easy alternative. This will do the trick. Now, next, I would typically add some kind of mushroom in it, but I don't have mushroom, so I just have this dried mushroom here. So that will do, and which very, very strong in flavor. So that will make my soup much richer. Chicken stock, mushroom flavor. Now next, I'm gonna add more spices to it. So typically, I would use a few slices of ginger roots in this, and then of course your soy sauce, your vinegars, and then you can add some chili sauce to it. So just grab a few jars from any Chinese groceries, and then you try that and say which one you like most. So yeah, that's just all sort of jars to add into your soup to increase the flavors. So that's pretty much it for your soup. And then now it's just the cooking process. Let me show you guys. The cooking is really, really simple because cooking a noodle soup doesn't require any kind of cooking skill. Your flavor is pretty much decided by whatever components, whatever spices you have, the sequence, the order of adding this, it doesn't really matter at all. So while we're waiting for the noodles to be cooked, we can continue to adjust the taste of the soup, so we don't have to waste time here. Here I have some chili sauce. I like to have some spicy sauce into this, so just add into it. And also have some kind of garlic sauce into this, so add a little bit of this too. And also have this black bean sauce here, so just get a spoon, add it to this. So you notice here is your creative process. You can just add anything you fancy into your soup and just continue to taste. So if that's something good enough for you, I feel like I probably want a little more vinegar. And if you don't have too many jars of sauce, then here is a sun-dried tomato. Just add one to it. So now you feel like your noodle is half cooked. Now we can start adding the other components into your noodle soup. First, some vegetable, some meat. You can use ground beef, ground pork, ground lamb. So next, I'm gonna add some egg to my soup to make the soup a little bit thicker. This is purely optional. Some people like the soup a bit watery, but I like this to be very thick today. I feel like I want to eat that rich, thick soup today. Now the noodle is almost cooked, so now it's time to add my vegetables to it. First, I'm going to add this Chinese cabbage into it. I want to make sure that I don't cook my vegetables too long. I don't want to destroy it. Just 1 minute or so will be sufficient. And then finally my leafy green. Again, this is so soft, so you don't want to cook this too much at all. Just put it to boil, that we should do. So in this noodle soup, I got everything I needed for my meal. I got a noodle here. I got a choice of vegetables here, and then I even have some meat in it. So it's very, you can see the soup is very rich in flavor. And on top of that, I also add some spring onion. That's very typical for Chinese noodle soup. So that would be, my God,